J.R. Todd, and you're watching Everything Nitro.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another preview here on Everything Nitro. I am your host, Andrew Morales, and today we got two special guys. One you know, and the other one I'm pretty sure you know. The regular John Rendell coming off a March meet. Not victory, but a fun March meet. And then we got the NHRA insider, Dujanay Bland from the Not Bland Show. What's going on, fellas?
How's it going?
Happy to be here. Thank you.
This is a lot of fun, man. This is going to be one of those exclusives right here. This is going to be one people are going to talk about for the whole year. So let's kick it off right, man. I mentioned John this weekend and the March meet. So this guy here, Everything Nitro's own John Rendell, got his junior fuel license over there at the March meet this weekend. Just talk about that, John. I mean, what'd you do this past weekend?
So pretty much what we did was we made sure we got this car ready to go for March meet. Regardless, we were going to be racing that weekend, whether it's going to be at the March meet or at the Phoenix Regional. So either that weekend we were racing regardless. Once we were putting all of our money towards this car, it was determined we were racing that car. So it was awesome. I never raced Bakersfield before, whether it was in the junior dragsters or in the super comp. My mom's raced there, so personally for me, I never did. So rolling into Tuesday, parking, unloading the car, you were hyped, you were ready to go, and then that Wednesday, you wake up that morning and you're like, oh crap, I got to do this. Like, it was a big gut check. Like, racing a furniture dragster is no joke, and I was nervous, and everybody who knows I'm nervous, I'm not the nicest guy in the world. But it was one of those where Brad Woodard and his family helped me out, as you can see in the video. Brad, who's a March meet winner and a 4-time champion. This used to be his car, so he knows everything about this car. And they put the car together over the off season. And sadly, we wanted to say the March meet was kind of the test session of what it's going to do. But man, let me tell you, driving a rear engine dragster for so many years and then hopping into this, you want to know what this thing is going to be like when it leaves. And just feeling what my Supercom dragster does without a throttle stop, and then hopping in a front engine dragster with no throttle stop, nothing, it's just wide open, and you're going a lot faster than what the Supercom dragster does. It was a ride, and that first pass, the coil wire, the arc kind of burnt it, so I didn't really get a truly full half pass. So I mainly made it to like 300 feet, and that was it. But once I got to know what it felt like coming off the starting line, that second pass, I was ready to go. And then second pass, which should have been the half pass, in my opinion, it was more, all right, send it. So my first full pass was on the second pass, and then we had fun. Mark Dawson, the track manager from Bakersfield, he signed off, and we went racing. So license Wednesday, qualified Thursday, rained out Friday, qualified again Saturday, out 8 cars, qualified 6, so it's not bad for my first time. And then Sunday, first round, and unfortunately we spun the tires. Knowing these cars, they're like pro stock. You got to make sure you have a lot of track prep. Even though there was a lot of prep down in, on the starting line there wasn't. So all the videos I sent you, tires didn't hook, it just immediately spun, and it was just a pedal fest. And knowing what this track did for that whole week, I learned how to pedal a car, and I never knew how to pedal a car until Wednesday when I got my license. So telling everybody, man, you did a pretty good job pedaling a car. Yeah, that's my first time. Like, everybody looked at me. So, but hopping in that car, there was a lot of people who didn't know that I could drive these cars, that nobody knew.
Right. You mentioned to me there was a few haters that said, we doubted you for a second.
Yeah. And after that second pass, they put a 100 tune up and said, all right, he can handle the car. He could do it. So and that's how it is. I mean, granted, I'm that type of person too, and you just got to prove people wrong. So
right.
So with that car, we're gonna race it for the rest of the year, even on the regional side. I'm gonna park my Supercom dragster on the side for a bit. We're gonna do some updates because my mom's gonna hop back in the car, so we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it where it's easier for her to read the gauges. Same thing with me. Kind of give it an updated motor. With the rumors coming out saying that NHRA may change the index to a 790 index instead of an 890 index, which I think would be a horrible decision in my opinion, because this is where I'm going on my tangent. Because nobody's going to pay money to build a bigger motor. With cost of parts nowadays, who in their right frame of mind, from Supercom is supposed to be the economic car. Same thing with Super Gas and Super Street. Now we're going to be building $40,000 motors so we can run 790 at 180. My Supercom dragster now goes 790 off the stop at 175. So if we're going to do that, that's fine with me. I'll just turn the stop off. Come catch me. But in my opinion, if they want to look at slowing these cars down, because going almost 200 miles per hour just on a throttle stop to go 890s in Pomona is ridiculous. If you want to do that, NHRA, which I know they listen because we had little jokes, so I know NHRA is listening. If they really wanted to, they should do a cubic inch limit. Everybody should run the max cubic inch you should do is a 582. And in the nostalgia rankings for junior field, we have a cubic inch limit. It's 430 cubic inches for a small block. So if NHRA wants to do that, 582 cubic inch limit, figure out your combination, because in my opinion, the cars who are going 200 miles per hour should go into top dragster. If you don't want to go into top dragster, in my opinion, you're a sandbagger. So
I'm going to give you a couple emails, John, and I'm going to let you hash that out with them, because that's not my stilo. I think you would do better coming across than I would with that one. But
we'll just say that. But other than that on that tangent, we're just going to throw that out the way. Other than that, I'll be racing the front engine dragster for the rest of the year. I may punch into a national, maybe Pomona finals. Who knows? It's great to bring a front engine dragster out to a national event where a lot of people don't see these cars anymore, either if you're racing on the nostalgia side or seeing on video. So, plus with the seat time, getting used to the car, you're talking about legs going over the rear axles and tires right next to you. So,
yeah, it's really that nostalgic vibe. So that's what the March Meet's about.
Exactly, and knowing the March Meet, I've been there as a spectator, and being as a driver and knowing the history, knowing the tradition, it was truly goosebumps. Like that first pass, getting ready, knowing all the legends who won this race and all the legends who started their career at that track or at Pomona, it gave you goosebumps in that car. And knowing that you are one of the drivers who there's not that many who race a front engine dragster. So it's truly amazing. I loved it, and I can't wait to get back into it. So it's for those who follow the Heritage Series, the next race will be during the Vegas Nationals, which I won't be at. The car won't be ready, but the next race for me should be September 13th. Don't quote me.
No, quote him. He said it.
Don't quote me. Don't do it.
Stick it to him. DM him at Johnny Boy on Instagram.
Which will be in Sacramento, and then of course, you have a Hot Rod reunion, which is going to be fun. So, all the guys who are racing junior field, they're an amazing group of guys, and they're not my friends; they're more my family now. So, they're an amazing group of people. Even on the rookie and the young one in the class, I got to show these old timers how to do it.
Oh, God. Well, there you heard it here first from John Randell. But let's kick off the show. It is the 30-year anniversary of Mr. 300 miles per hour, Kenny Bernstein. I mean, can you believe, guys, we've been going 300 miles an hour for 30 years already? And it happened at this racetrack, Gainesville Raceway. What's your thoughts on that, Dujane? 30 years, man.
It's pretty incredible. just to think back to, having Budweiser, being out there, and the track has changed so much. It's still nostalgia, but the track has just changed so much since then. But it's amazing that we've been going 300 for so long now, and so many were so close to that, up to that point, up to that time. And for him to do it, pretty amazing stuff, man. Pretty amazing stuff. And we're still doing it today. So it's a testament to the sport and all the guys and those who put so much hard work into, progressing the sport.
And let's relive that 300-mile-per-hour day in 1992.
On Saturday, March 20th, 1992, Kenny Bernstein and the Bud King Top Fuel Dragster were about to make what was thought to be a run at the #1 qualifying position for Sunday eliminations. As the Bud King prepared to leap from the starting line, drag racing history was about to be made. Something that Kenny Bernstein was no stranger to, having become only the second man in NHRA history to win 4 consecutive Winston Funny Car titles between 1985 and 1988. This time, the scoreboards recorded one of the all-time great performances in drag racing, and Bernstein achieved a mark that had been coveted by everyone who had ever competed in a top fuel dragster, the sport's first 300-mile-per-hour speed.
What a deal. I'm speechless. I mean, unbelievable. Dale, Wes, the Budweiser King team, you can't say enough about them. They just keep coming at it. 300 miles an hour. I can't believe it.
301.
It's a dream come true, believe me. I can't say enough about NHRA and the preparation of the racetrack. It took perfect conditions to do it, believe me. I can't believe this.
That's got to be cool, even watching 30 years later. Just the joy and emotion of everybody in the stands, watching at home. Heck, 30 years later, I know John and myself weren't even born at that time.
I was about to say that.
Here we are talking about it. So, and can you believe we're not just going 300 miles per hour in a quarter mile? We're going 330 miles per hour in 1,000 foot. So talk about how crazy drag racing has evolved over the years. I hope we see some kind of tribute. I'm sure we'll see videos played throughout the entire weekend. But that's something that we cannot forget. 30 years of 300 mile per hour racing, big time, in my opinion.
I'd love to see somebody come out with a tribute card to Kenny Bernstein. Just the same colors, same everything. You don't have to put the Budweiser on the side, but just have that
King of Speed.
Card.
You can put King of Speed. You can put, whatever you like on there. I remember on the 2006 and 2005 game, the video game, they couldn't put, a beer brand on the car. So what they put B Bernstein instead of Budweiser. And I thought that was a cool little flavor they threw on back in the day. So we got to see something out there.
We can sell beer, but you can't put beer on the side of the car.
Right. You see people walking up in the grandstands with two hands of beer, but you can't put them on the car.
Yeah. Two hands of beer that cost, well, back in the day, $5 a can. Now it's $10.
And another hot topic this weekend, the first ever annual Pep Boys All-Star Shootout, and it's a call-out format. This is something in drag racing and professional drag racing we have never seen before. So there's going to be plenty of excitement going into this weekend's 2020 Gatornationals. Last year was a huge audience. Dugenet was there. He'll be in attendance this year. So he's going to be in the midst of all that, getting a witness behind the scenes. But us at home, we got to be excited for this. This is something that we need to talk about. And the drivers, I hope, they bring a couple of knuckle sandwiches and a couple of bad words, because we'd need to hear it. I'd love to hear, what this is all about. And this is going to set the tone moving forward. What is your guys' thoughts on this year's All-Star Shootout format?
I think it's going to be great. I think the call-out format is awesome. Like I said in previous shows, this is going to show who's your friends and who's not. Because it's not going to be your typical fashion 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. This is somebody who could be number 2 that says, you know what, I want number 3. Or number 1 says, I want number 2. So I think it's going to be cool. I love that they're bringing the All-Star race back. I think they should have done it at Rockingham like they've done in the past. But that's my opinions. But I think it's amazing, especially we haven't had an All-Star race in a while. So I think it's going to be cool. I think the call-out format is even better. And this is where it's going to bring the attention. So there's going to be a lot of drivers right now who's going to be gunning it. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. I wish I could be in Gainesville with Dujournay. I know we could split a few cold ones and have some fun, but I think it's gonna be exciting. I think the fans are gonna love it. I'm excited for it. So we'll just see if the drivers are ready. So it's time to put up or shut up. So we'll see it.
And $80,000 on the line, Dujournay. How about that?
Yeah, purse is 130 total, but $80,000 will go to the winner. Yeah, I mean it's going to be something. I'm really hoping that we can see some type of WWE, AEW type promos. I hope these guys and girls have, they're wrestling fans, and they come up with their own type of promos here. I'd really like to see something like that. Obviously, you want them to be themselves, but we know Steve has got a little fire. We saw a little fire from Mike Salinas,
right?
So I think that I think there's a lot there, and there's a couple first timers. Mike Salinas is a first timer. It's the first time that he's appearing. He has four career top fuel wins. His recent is in Phoenix. Doug's the elder statesman here and is the veteran of them. He's been in several specialty races. His first appearance was in 1998. He's advanced to 6 final rounds. Through 14 appearances, winning 3 of them, including 1997, giving him the most of any driver in this field. Coletta has 49 career top fuel victories. So, there's some youth here, but there's some people that have won their share. Steve has won some, Antron's won some as well. So it's going to be very interesting. And the fact that Steve gets to be the first one to call out, I'm very interested to see where he goes with it.
Exactly.
I'd like to taunt him a little bit, because my thing is I'd like to tell him what he won't do. And what he won't do is call out Mike Salinas. That's what I'm going to say. He won't call out Mike Salinas, because Mike Salinas has had his number over the last couple of races, especially in these semifinal rounds. So if you watch it, that's just my thing. I love you, man. But I'm just gonna say from me, not bland, is just saying what you won't do. What you won't do is call out Mike Salinas at this call out.
And we can't forget, man, Steve was the last guy to win in the shootout back in the Traxxas days. I believe it was 2018, 2019, and he went to double up. So he's coming into this with some momentum.
If it was the Traxxas days, that's pushing it farther back. That's like 15 or
17. Okay, something like that.
2017.
But Steve has doubled up there. And I think he was the last. He didn't double up, I guess, but he won the most recent. So that's interesting. But here's how the seating works. Steve's going to get his first pick. He's number 1. Brittany's number 2. Do we see him call out Brittany right away? I don't think that would be such a bad first round opponent for him. We know he likes to get those tough matchups out of the way. Or how about an Antron? We know they're friends till the end. I mean, those guys are as close as it gets. Or does he want to capitalize on Doug Coletta, calling a guy like him out who's had a struggle to the early part of the season? Doug Coletta's coming off those first, 2 round losses. Actually, those first round losses in Pomona and Phoenix. So that team doesn't have a lot of momentum, although we did see him make that career best DT run back in Arizona. But this is Gainesville. From the looks of it, it's going to be extremely great weather. We know the rain's pouring over there on and off, but it's going to be interesting to see, 4 drivers are going to be able to call out in this format. Actually 3, because those last 2 are going to get stuck, with each other. And then moving on to Saturday after round 1, whoever has the quickest ET after that final eliminations of round 1 gets first pick and gets to call the next person out. So it'll be interesting to see, although Steve is the first guy to draw blood, it'll be interesting to see who that next competitor will be.
In my opinion, I think Steve is going to call out Leah, only because the last 2 races, her reaction times in the first round have sucked. And I'm not saying because it's we're 2-stepping it. You cut like a 112 and I think like a 120 reaction time. It's not from 2-stepping it. I think it's just a lack of focus, and I think Steve is going to take advantage of that. So
to be honest, these guys have all mentioned, given the pre-race ceremony in Arizona, they all mentioned, oh man, everybody's so tough. You don't want to call out anybody, right? But is there somebody on this list? You might have said it, John. Is Leah Pruitt kind of the gal to go to, a safe bet? We know nobody's safe. These are some tough competitors. But is there any weak link on this list, Duzenay? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. But see, this is my thing. If he calls out Brittany's been very good on the tree lately. So, yes, conditions are good, and they could be on that do or die line, that love or hate line where you could go or blow. But if you call out a person like Leah, they've been quite well and have shown that they can run a good number. If she's anywhere in the vicinity and she runs a good number, she can put you on the trailer. So you're going on hopes and prayers that she makes a mistake and shows up late, because you can look at his numbers and he ain't been as sharp as he normally is either. So it's a thin line. And if you're going to call him out, and if you're going to go and think that that's your Huckleberry, you better darn sure better be on your game, because the person you think that might be your Huckleberry may put you on the trailer.
So with that being said, Duzenay, who do you got for the Pep Boys All-Star Top Fuel call-out? Who do you got winning that $80,000 purse?
Put him on the spot.
Put me on the spot, huh?
Do I got to put this list up again?
No.
I'll do it.
See, I'm going to tell you right now, the way that things are going and the way that this thing is shaking out as far as how the weather is going, I'm going to have to just go with a guy like Justin Ashley. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at what they did and what they've done over the last couple of races, they're doing a very good job of just being solid and consistent. Yes, they can put up the big number, but they also can get from point A to point B in a good fashion. And he's lightning on he's bringing Paul Bunyan's axe to the starting line and chopping down trees. So I would say that I would probably go with Justin Ashley out of all of that.
So how about you, John? Who do you got winning this 80K?
Ooh. You know what? I gotta go with the West Coast boys. So I gotta go with Mike Salinas. Mike Salinas and Rob Flynn showed in Phoenix that they're a force to be reckoned with. And even though that race between him and Clay Milken, the car got away from him a little bit, that car was still pulling. That car was still going. And Pomona, everybody, I always said the track conditions because it's a brand new track, basically. But I think Mike Salinas and Rob Flynn is going to have a great tune-up, and I think they're going to take it. I think these guys are they started something, and I think they're in that same facility as Steve Torrance was. So we'll just see what happens. So my pick is Mike Salinas.
Okay, those are some good picks. I mean, it's hard to argue with any of those, but I'm going to have to go with the most consistent car in qualifying. And mind you, this is qualifying that this will take place in. So who better to win this thing, the first ever Pep Boys All-Star call-out, than David Grubnick and Brittany Force? I think they could get it done. I think put the reaction times aside, that car in qualifying means business. And although this is kind of this has a ladder, this format is eliminations. One, they're still going to look to run good and get that track data for Sunday. And if anybody could do it, I think David Grubnick, Max Savage, and Brittany Force could get it done. So I'm going to go out of the limb here. I'm going to say Brittany Force all the way. That's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, Brittany Force, man, it's hard. Come on, qualifying. We're talking qualifying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad pick. The Mike Salinas pick isn't bad either, because I have him in my top three top fuel drivers to watch. You look at Mike Salinas' record in the last 7 races of 2021. He was 13-6 round win-loss record. You look at him coming into this season, he's 5-1 round win-loss record. He has a race win. Overall, in the last 9 races, he's 18-7.
Right.
2 wins in the last 9 races. He's won Bristol. He won Arizona here recently. He's qualified 7th. last year, they, right here at this track, they ran a 376 with a 7, a 324. They qualified 7th here. They were there. They were right there. And I expect them to kind of continue what they've been doing this first part of the season. And this track is pretty favorable for them as well. And you can't deny what Brittany Force and David Grebnick's been doing. I mean, like you said, it's qualifying, man. I mean, they do what they do in qualifying.
Right.
That's knock heads and blaze the scoreboard. So
fans, there's a race within a race, and we got to remember that somebody has a chance to double up. There's plenty on the line this weekend. That's why it's a must-watch. Gatornationals, as it is a must-watch national event. This just adds a little extra kick to it. Can't wait till we get to Indy and get to talk Funny Car about this, because that'll be something of its own. We know Funny Car has its own personalities. But let's talk about the drivers making their 2022 season debut. Got Billy Torrance coming back. I mean, we know Billy's not a full-time guy. He still works. He drives a super comp. He's busy. We got Alex Laughlin coming out this weekend with Scott Palmer. Krista Baldwin, she's going to be out there. She made her pro debut here last year. That's going to be fun. Lex June, Spencer Massey, and in Funny Car, Blake Alexander's going to be on the property. Missed the first 2 races of the year. It's great to see that Jim Head Racing team back out after all the tragic losses they went through within the past 6 months. Unimaginable what that team has gone through. John Bodie Smith, family-operated car, and Dave Richards, another family-operated car. Looking forward to seeing those guys back out on the track. Let's take a look at this Krista Baldwin scheme. How about this guy? She's bringing a little bit of personality in the mix as it is, just on a race car. I mean, McLeod clutches, Redline Oil, Lucas Oil. I'm sorry, not Redline Oil, just Lucas Oil. That's a pretty sleek race car.
It is.
I like that. I really I dig this scheme from her.
Yeah, it's a very good-looking scheme, and I like that they changed it up a bit, and it kind of has her personality.
Yeah, it really does. And then we're also going to be seeing Ike Meyer, a guy who's going to be piloting for the Patton family team this weekend, coming out. We saw Cameron Ferret in that top field car last year, so we're seeing people come out on the East Coast. We know we don't see all of them on the West Coast, but the ones that can make it out, you're always going to see them, in Gainesville, and before when, Englishtown was around. All these guys came out to these East Coast races, so we love seeing the faces in these family-operated teams come out. So make sure. But Billy Torrance, man, Billy's a guy who could come up and win this thing. He could win on Sunday. We saw how consistent he was last year.
No, Billy's a great driver, and now you're missing one of his crew chiefs,
Jason McCullough. He's over
Jason
there with
McCullough.
over there with Sean Langdon now.
It's gonna be tough. Maybe he loses that track. Who knows? But Billy's a great driver. Billy has always been one of my favorites, and even on a part time, he can still get in the top 10 just from all of his winning. So, you may never know. It's gonna be a first for everybody. Maybe Billy still has that steam. Maybe he doesn't. So it's just going to be what we see in qualifying from him and what we see. So I don't base on everything until qualifying is done, and then you kind of see where that steam is going to come from. So Billy has the chance to win. We'll just see what he does in qualifying.
I think he'll be a top 3 qualifying car out of the gate. Just my opinion. That car, I mean, I don't think they really touched it all that much. And you still have Richard Hogan, Bobby Lagana, and all involved. Yeah. So, and he didn't lose his assistant, did he? I forget. I can't think of his name, but I don't think he did.
Well, now you have Trip Tatum also, who's also going to be in Gainesville, and that's another Capco car. So it's going to be one of those, because you have Dom Lagana, who's also going to be at the property. So is he going to be with Trip? Is he going to be with Billy? And that's going to be the telltale of who's going to be what. So it's going to be interesting for the Team Capco.
Now, Billy Torrance last year qualified second last year with a 373 with a 5 at 326.95 miles per hour. So
wow. That's why we call Dugenet. Well, that's why I call Dugenet the NHRA insider, because he's bringing us the stats right now, and that I can appreciate. But 21 top field dragsters and 16 funny cars will be on the property for this weekend's race. That's big numbers in the top field category. It's kind of like opposite of what we saw from Pomona. We saw them come out for Pomona. Now we're seeing it in Gainesville on the top fuel side of things. We mentioned the big names that are going to be there. You have Steve and Billy, Brittany Forrest, Justin Ashley, Antron Brown, Sean Langdon, Doug Coletta, Clay Milliken, Alex Laughlin. You have Josh Hart, who's coming off that solid victory last year in his debut. He's a guy you have to watch for. John, you mentioned Trip Tatum, Ike Meyer, Arthur Allen coming back out. Like I said, Lex June, Tony Schumacher, Austin Prock, Spencer Massey. We got to give Spencer Massey some credit, man. This guy, cutting lights, going rounds. He's not full-time. Another guy, he only comes out to, the Charlotte races, Gainesville. He went to Dallas last year. He treats some guys. He's showing everybody why he should be in a top fuel car. Not to mention there's Doug Foley, Leah Pruitt, Krista Baldwin, Mike Salinas. So 5 of those drivers are going to be out come Sunday. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch that battle take place on Saturday while all this is going on with the shootout. And for funny car, go ahead, John.
I was going to say it should be 22 top fuel entries because John Rendell can be there if someone wants to cough up a few bucks. And
John threw it out there, everybody. If you got about 50K, maybe 40K laying around, DM John.
Hey, we'll make it happen. We'll make it down the track. I'm not the I'm a good when it comes to the driver's seat. I'm not the brightest when it comes to interviews, but yeah, if you want to race, we'll make it happen.
Okay.
You heard him.
So we talked about, we really haven't talked about Tony Schumacher either. This guy has stepped up. He's had some pretty stiff competitions early in the season in the first round. He got around Doug Coletta back in Pomona, and then he got around Doug Coletta in Arizona. And then, I'm so off here.
No,
he took out Doug Coletta in Pomona, and then he took out Justin Ashley in Phoenix. So he's riding some momentum. It's tough to say anybody's riding the momentum if they don't get to the semifinals and final round because it's so tough these days. I mean, that's what you look for. Those guys stick out more, though, more say than the second round people. But that's the way top fuel racing goes nowadays.
Exactly, and Tony, he's a great driver. He's been through the ringer up and down season. So, I think they're going to be fine. I think Gainesville might be the turnaround for them because Gainesville has always been a fast track. So we'll just see how Tony reacts and see how Tony does. Todd Okahara is still a great crew chief. And maybe it's just to kind of get their feet wet. Maybe they want to do some new tune-ups, new combinations. So anything is possible. Anything is going on. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, you can't count Tony the Tiger out. So, so you can't count him out. He's the all-time greatest top fuel driver for a reason. So, there's gonna be that momentum. So maybe this is what they needed, and especially as 2 big names too, like Doug Coletta, and then you have Justin Ashley who won Pomona. So maybe Gainesville is the race they turn around. So we'll see.
Who of any of these drivers on this entry list could we see with the King of Speed tribute? I mean, Mike Salinas, we saw that awesome tribute last year with Blaine Johnson. He owns his old team. He could do that. And Sean Brown, awesome. Real close friends with Brandon Bernstein, and he's part of Lucas Oil Racing now. Antron's got his own team, so he's the boss. He could do as he pleases as long as Mac Tools is okay with that. And, Who could we see, if any? I mean, how many people and drivers do you think are really gonna, pay tribute to the King of Speed?
Man, that's tough.
Me?
I'm sure everybody should. I'm sure plenty of drivers will mention it.
I think you got just 3, and I think somebody like Steve Torrance probably would do something like that.
Yeah, we saw the Swamp Rat last year.
Yeah, classy guy. Yeah, and I think that's somebody that would probably do something like that. Tony Schumacher, I think, is somebody that would do that. But I don't think it's too many. You know what I mean? I think probably about a handful. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would see. Actually, it would be cool if Tony did the tribute. It should be to when Daryl Gwen drove for Budweiser in that Canopy car. I think that would look cool.
There's another one. Yep.
Yeah, and to me, it's tough. In reality, I want to say Mike, because Mike's done that U.S. Air Force tribute. He did Tom McEwen's tribute.
Right. He's becoming the king of tributes within the past 3-4 years.
The driver's car I thought was amazing. When I seen that car in Sonoma, that thing gave you goosebumps. It was chills because that was just like seeing Blaine's car. So I want to say Mike would be the one that would do it.
And yes, KC Live Media, drinking a Budweiser does count as a tribute. I would mark that. I'm sure plenty of people would argue the same thing. Yes. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
So let's talk about funny car. And the hottest guy on the circuit, Robert Hight, coming off his second win in a row. There's only been 2 races in the season so far. God, can that team be beat? And can they make it 3 in a row?
I think this rain will be an equalizer, especially if it comes down to where there's only 2 qualifying sessions. I think that will be the equalizer. You're talking about temperatures falling throughout the day on Saturday from 70 degrees. It will be a below freezing night in Gainesville. We'll only get to, looks like it will be 58 degrees or near 60 on race day. So you're starting from, low 20s. You're probably by E1, maybe we're at 40, 47, 48 degrees. I think that will be the great equalizer. But John Force Racing does pretty good at this track. But I would say John does better than Robert at this track. Robert had a decent day last year, but really it seems like everyone else does better than they do. But again, the way that they've started the season, there's just no telling. I mean, the conditions will be there for them to run the big numbers that they've been running all season long. Just all going to be contingent on how can they get ahead of it, or are they going to be behind the 8 ball? And we all know what happens if you're behind the 8 ball and they only get 2 sessions in. You're playing catch up,
right?
If you're playing catch up coming into race day, ain't never really a good look. So,
and let's talk about Matt Hagen. The guy went to the semifinals and got beat out in Pomona. He makes it to the final round in Arizona. Is 3 it for him? Is this the race we see him finally get that win, John? I mean, Hagen, that car, 3rd time's a charm, man. That car is fast. I mean, he's a heck of a driver. I think he's probably the best driver on the circuit. And I think that Tony Stewart Racing is kind of getting in the heads of, competitors, especially on the Top Fuel side. You see a lot of people kind of, I don't want to say throw shade, but just they love to see a new team out there. But you want to beat Tony Stewart Racing, and you want to beat that car because that car is last year's runner-up car. So he is going to be a heck of a competitor this year.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it in the nice way. I think Tony Stewart Racing, I think they're getting the more success out of their funny car than they are in Top Fuel because you brought over Dickie Venables and that whole entire crew. So they never skipped the beat. And when you're comparing to Leah's Top Fuel, where you have Neil Strasberg, who is a new crew chief, but even though he's been around all Tony Schumacher's teams and been around all the other teams, this is his first time as a crew chief. So, no, Matt Hagen is a great driver. I've watched him when he first started to where he's at now. And yeah, he's the tip of the ice. And I think 3rd time is going to be charm. I think he's going to be the one that brings Tony Stewart his first win in the NHRA. I think this is going to be the race that happens. And knowing Matt Hagen and Dickie Venables, these guys live for the speed. Like, they don't slow down the car. When they try to slow it down, it goes faster. When they try to speed it up, well, as long as they don't speed it up in Charlotte. We know Charlotte is his kryptonite, but
Right.
I think we're going to see another rematch of Robert Hight and Matt Hagen. So I think this is going to be the race for Dickie and Matt and Tony. So Matt's really good on the reaction time. He buckles that car like it's a bucking bull. So he has a control. So I truly believe he's going to get the win. I think he's going to top Robert Hight. And I think that's going to be between him and Robert Hight. I think they're going to be battling it this year.
And Robert Hight was in the other car in the final round last year, lost to this man, J.R. Todd.
Indeed.
So J.R. Todd, defending national event winner, he has a lot to prove. Not only that, he wants to be the first Toyota driver to get a win in the new Super Body. I think we could see a matchup of last year's final round, Robert Hight and J.R. Todd. He went out early last weekend or 2 weeks ago in Arizona, had that tough first round matchup against Alexis DeJoria, but he's got a title to defend. So I think he's another guy we have to pay attention to, especially in Gainesville.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. They qualified well last year. They were sixth last year. Both Force cars were 4. Robert was 4 last year. John was 5 last year. Believe it or not, Alexis was at 2 last year. She qualified 2 last year with a 391. Ron Capps was number 1 last year. So, it's one thing about Matt Hagen, and I don't know whether it's just being with Tony Stewart Racing or what, but to me, and I'm going to ask him if I get an opportunity to interview him this weekend, is he looks comfortable. Like,
yeah,
and not saying he wasn't comfortable with DSR, but he looks like he's
having fun,
able to be himself. Like, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's just another day at the office. He's just at the playground having fun. You know,
he's just at the gym. We'll say that, not playground. Yeah. He's just at the gym,
just doing his thing. I mean, they just look like they're enjoying themselves. And I really do think that they're definitely primed for a win. But this track was really good to JR last year, both JR and Robert. And I really think that they're probably 2 cars that are interesting to watch. I'll tell you, I got 3 though that I like to see and that I'm really watching this weekend. One is Tim Wilkerson, and he's with the conditions we have this weekend. Sure, his last 7 races weren't that great. He was 3-6. He's 2-2 this year. 7-9 over his last 9 races. But it's a car that can run in the 90s. He can run in the 80s if necessary. They've been, they're a very consistent bracket car. He can do whatever he needs to do. He can be like a chameleon. He can do whatever he needs to do to get that car going. And qualified well here. He was 3rd here last year, 391.7. Cruz is another guy, performed well here last year. He was number 7 with that new team. They were trying to learn each other. Thought they had a good performance. They had a good chance to win. Again, got up against some tougher opponents. Yeah. But they're 13-6 in their last 7. They're 3-2 this year. But they're 16-9 in their last 9 races. They have a 1 win in their last 9 races. That was Vegas. They've qualified 7th, in the last year, at this race. And, they're a top half of the field car this year. So in the last but not least, is John Force. I know his car's had the case of the wobbles. His car's doing the wobble out there. But at the end of the day, he was 10-7 in his last 7 races last year, 2-2 this year, 12-9 over the last 9. But, they qualified 5th last year. 393 with a 4, 328, 6, I think 6'6". He made it. He lost to the semifinal winner, Robert Hight.
Right.
And really, if you look at, I think Wilkerson, I think he took a loss to the eventual winner, which was J.R. Todd. So last year. So these 3 cars, along with those individuals who were in the final and Matt Hagen, who have balled out in the first 2 yet races this season, it's going to be a tough funny car field with what we have setting up for us here, given the weather, given the fact we may have, only limited amount of qualifying. It's going to be a very, very fun weekend. And we ain't even talked about the fact that we could have some track records broken,
right?
Maybe some big speeds. We
definitely can with this type of weather that's going on in Gainesville right now.
Indeed.
And a guy that you brought up Hagen's having fun, and he is. I agree with that 100%. Hagen is having a heck of a time right now. But you know who else is having a heck of a time as a new team owner? Ron Capps.
Yes.
Let's give Ron Capps some credit. Ron Capps is a drag racer, and here's why. This is Capps' 5th weekend in a row doing Nitro drag racing activities. Capps, spring season testing out in Arizona, one weekend. The following weekend, Pomona, the Winter Nationals. Following weekend, Arizona. Weekend right after that, he was over there racing Fuel Alter in Bakersfield. Coming into this weekend, he's back in his Napa funny car, and he's back behind the wheel again. 5 weekends in a row, coming off an off season as a brand new car owner. Kudos to Capps. That takes a lot of guts, and for somebody to be doing that as their first year as a car owner, like you, I had to piggyback off you, Dugenet. He has to be having a good time in this new role he's in.
Absolutely.
I wish I had that job.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
And he's got to be feeling confident coming in here. Like I said, last year they qualified number 1, 389 with a 5, 329.02. And
Capps loves Gainesville, right?
You can say what you want, but they running the same body right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're running the same body as of right now. So, given the conditions and all, they have the data they need to go out here and come out here and go number 1. So we've got a lot of tough cars coming in here this weekend with the conditions that we have setting up for us. You don't want to miss this Gainesville on any level. It's going to be absolutely electric.
And like you said, Dugenet, they ran that 389 last year, and that was a brand new team last year with John Medlin and Guido making the tuning call. So with that data they have now, heck, I think it's even going to be faster with the track conditions, what it sounded like being perfect, and especially with the cool weather. I think John Medlin's going to say, you know what, let's tune it up, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Dugenet about Capps. Who knows how long we're going to see him in this Dodge body? Because we all heard the comments that were made from Pomona, and everybody wants to talk about this Supra stuff, and there's four. You know what? Actually, there's more guys jumping to Ford right now. The old Ford bodies than there are anything. I don't know why. Obviously, they actually look good. Dave Richards proves that. We talked about Tony Gerardo. That car looks amazing, but I think it's a little premature to jump ahead. I mean, if anybody wanted to break the news, let's just say it. Okay, yeah, Capps is going to go to Chevy, or Capps is going to go wherever. I mean, let it happen. We're going to hear it after this weekend. I don't think, we need to really touch on, is he going to Toyota? Is he going to, Chevy? Is he going to come out with a freaking Audi body? We don't know. Just let the cards play. I mean, that's the fun of it. Yeah, it's fun to speculate, if you're having a beer, if you're with the family or whatever. But I think, maybe he did it on his own because he had mentioned, man, that Toyota Supra body just looks so good. Wow, yada, yada. But it's kind of like, dang, like, did he want to give us that heavy of a hint? Or is it, or is he trying to get in good with Toyota at that point? So that's kind of up in the air. But like I did mention before I get off topic, that body that he's running now looks nothing like it did previous years at Don Schumacher Racing. That car was filled to the rim with sponsors. This year, it's very bare minimum. There's no Dodge on the car. We know he doesn't have any type of backing from them, but it's a bare minimum car. Napa Gear Wrench Tools is the only thing you see on that body. So it's pretty interesting to see all the news he might have moving forward and associate sponsors, because Caps is a likable guy. He's a fan favorite.
Absolutely.
I think NHRA Gainesville Raceway actually put on Twitter today, who are you most looking forward to seeing this weekend at the Gatornationals? And I think more than anybody, people said Ron Caps. So big news coming from him. He could drop it tomorrow. He could drop it Saturday, Sunday, but that'll be a lot of fun to wait to see what Caps to see what Caps has had under his belt, all these months.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because like when you showed the picture of the car, because when I see that, I see Mike Salinas' dragster. No stickers, no sponsors, just your associates, but it's plain, it's clean, and still the carbon fiber body. And the way I was always taught, stickers doesn't make the car go faster.
Right.
And even though it's for, your sponsors, it's for your executives to help promote and brand and such, at the end, your performance is going to speak. And with Ron Caps, you see the performance that Guido and John Mellon do. And even when John Mellon was with Jack Beckman and their performance, like, that car was just amazing. With Ron Caps, like you said, he's a likable guy. Fans love him. There's a reason why drivers like him and Antron Brown and all these veteran drivers who are still driving after 15, Ron Caps now is going on 25, 26 years. He's been driving since before I was born, which sadly. but there's a reason why these drivers stay, is because the sponsors love them, the fans love them, the sport loves them. These drivers who come and go after 4 or 5 years, it wasn't because the sponsors didn't like them. It's more what you did for them. This sport is not about throwing a brand and throwing your logo on the car. It's a flying billboard. Back in the day, that's how it was. Today, it's not like that. If I'm going to give you $5 million, what are you going to do with that $5 million? And I think Ron Caps does it right with Napa, and seeing all the commercials he's done and having fun with Chase Elliott and all the other Alexander Rossi and all the other Napa drivers, it's cool. And then seeing the comment about Toyota helps promote their drivers, which is true. It sucks because when you look, I always compare drag racing to NASCAR, and it sucks that we have to compare it both like that. But it seems like now we're trying to be like that. I wish Ford and Chevy were like that, where Ford promotes, here's your up-and-coming drivers, here's your 4 of these drivers, and then same thing with Chevrolet. I hate the fact that you have all these manufacturers who want to go over to one team instead of like Toyota, where they're everywhere, where Coletta, Alex, and then
we've seen him branch off in the Top Fuel side. We've seen Steve benefit from Toyota now. Justin Ashley, a part of Toyota. So there's not even a Toyota body on a Top Fuel dragster, but they're still supporting these racers and these teams.
It's like, imagine if Toyota, think for a second, think about it. If Toyota with their super bodies came out in pro stock, because Pontiac did the Firebirds, and I love those cars. Those were nice. So Toyota came out with the Supra in a pro stock version, how aerodynamic they are. I think that would look cool.
That would look cool.
Remember, guys, this is everything Nitro. All right? Save it, John.
I'm helping promote the sport, If somebody wants to help me out, I'll help promote Toyota, Chevy, Ford. It don't matter.
John Randell, gotta love him. Gotta love him. Let's get into the tough part, the toughest part, especially since it hasn't happened yet. But we could prematurely get into this. Who's our number one qualifier? Who are our picks for our number one qualifier going into Sunday? And who wins the national event? We'll start with you, Dujane.
Man. I'm taking I'm taking Ron Capps for Funny Car, and I am going Brittany Force for the for Top Fuel. Our national event winners will be Josh Hart and in Top Fuel, and I am going to go with the I'm going to go Matt Hagen in Funny Car. I'm going to say he gets it done.
That's pretty you got Brittany Force as the number one qualifier. So that probably means I'm right. She's probably going to win the shootout. No. But I like that Matt Hagen win. That kind of answers my question. Is 3 a charm? Like, is this third time going to be it? I think it could be, but you mentioned the success Ron Capps has for me. It's really hard for me to pick a winner on Sunday. I mean, for number one qualifier, I'll say it probably again, Ron Capps, right? You mentioned Dugenet. He was the number one qualifier last year. Conditions will be great. I wouldn't be surprised if John Force was the number one qualifier after Sunday, even with his wobble. But
right.
Ron Capps, especially this potentially being his last national event with that Dodge body, they want to go out with a bang. They want to show Dodge what they could have had. You know, they want to stick it to him a little bit. So coming out, trying to run low ET, these guys in Funny Car aren't worrying about the shootout. They're just worrying about qualifying and Sunday. So I think Ron Capps has a great opportunity to not just – I'm going to pick him to qualify number one and to win the race. I think that's a safe pick for me. And for Top Fuel, I'm going to say Brittany Force number one qualifier, and Steve Torrance is going to win the race. That's the wind up in the pitch for me, guys.
I got you.
Let's see. I could agree with Ron Capps with being number one qualifier. I hope he actually goes out with a bang, and especially since Dodge doesn't want to back him, hopefully it goes out with a bang. No, I hope that doesn't happen. But no, I can see Ron Capps being number one qualifier, and Matt Hagen taking the win. I think it'll be Matt Hagen, Ron Capps in the final round. I think that'd be a good final. Top
yeah,
Fuel,
that's where I was going too. That's got to be an entertaining final round.
Oh yeah,
is it going to be? Could it be a Ron Capps? You know, that's a good odds. You know, to throw out there for the fans. Who do you think will win it first? You know, Ron Capps Motorsports or Tony Stewart Racing? Like, which of those teams will get that first victory?
And Top Fuel, I'm gonna go Mike Salinas number one, and then I'm gonna go Clay Millican for the win. Clay Millican and Mike Kobler came off with that 369 just out of nowhere, and I think they found something that they're gonna carry it on. You gotta remember, Clay Millican loves Gainesville. He's had a few final rounds there, and that's his bread and butter. So I think this is going to be the race that Mike Kobler and Clay Millican finally get their first NHRA win together, and I think they found something that they're gonna come out swinging now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one because Clay always performs, and we have to remember last year was an anomaly. That was the first race of the season. No one really performed the way they normally do when it's the third race of the season. There were some guys like Clay that didn't necessarily perform as well as they normally do. Even I'll go with Matt Hagen not performing as well as he normally does when it's the third race of the season. So yeah, I really do. I could see that for sure because Clay loves this track, and when it's in its proper place, he does come out, and him and Mike Kobler do put on a good show.
And kind of to touch back on the shootout, Clay Millican barely missed out on that. I think if anybody would have been fun to watch, Clay would have been fun to watch if he could have had one of those positions where he was able to call out somebody, because I think he would have done it as good as anybody could. And we're going to see. We're going to see on Saturday what this is all about. And it's got to be for bragging rights. I mean, this is the first ever Pep Boys All-Star Shootout, call-out, whatever you want to call it. It's nice to see NHRA do that for our sport.
Absolutely.
Dugenet will be in attendance. If you see Dugenet this weekend, make sure to say what's up. Make sure, give this guy a dap, something. This guy is the real deal right here. Dugenet,
I'm just a guy, but I try my best.
And this guy doesn't just cover
hard.
NHRA. This guy
hard.
covers, NFL, NBA, all the sports, all the major sports. And luckily, NHRA has him on the NHRA side because that will be a lot of fun.
Well,
but
I'm going
check out this
year, baby. This is where I'm trying to stay for the rest of the year. So we're trying to go all in for NHRA for a while.
I was gonna say if it was NFL, we don't want to talk about football with me.
I don't want to talk about football at all. But this is an interesting comment from Jag Racing Central. Crew chiefs will ruin the call-outs, in my opinion. Huh.
I could see that.
I wish. That's. Give me a little bit more, Drag Racing Central.
Yeah,
a little bit more of what you think.
I think
it could. I mean,
I think what he's trying to say is like, you don't want to call somebody out who you're gonna tear up your motor. I think what he's saying is, you don't want to go balls to the wall and blowing pistons out, and now you're down a motor for the weekend. I think it's like if you have a pedal fest, I think it's going to be, you're not going to see both cars pedaling it for it because it's still essentially qualifying. So I see what he's saying. So, but for $80,000, I mean, if we're going to pedal, trust me, I'm pedaling the car and I'm going to try to win. But maybe the crew chiefs will cut it off. Who knows? That's what I'm taking from it, is that they don't want to tear up parts.
So here we go. He says, like, are the drivers really making the choice, or is the choice being made by a crew chief behind closed doors? I think it has to be a team effort. I mean, we want to give the glory to the driver, right? We want them, but in all reality, your tuner looks at more data than anybody. I think it's an equal balance. I mean, put it this way: if you're a car owner, so to speak, I think the crew chief's more under your belt than, say, if you're just a driver. If you're a driver, then the owner of the team, the crew chief and driver all have their say. So that's three, influences right there. I don't know. That's pretty interesting. That's a good way to look at it, but I think it's give and take. I think it's about even.
Right. I don't see it as a bad thing. I'll use this analogy. So you have the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback all looking at the same things. The quarterback's telling the offensive coordinator and the coach what he's seeing, and they got one shot. They need one big play to get down the field. They need to either get in range or they need a score to win. So all three of these individuals are collaboratively putting their heads together to call this shot so that they can get this score. And I don't think it's any different here in drag racing. You're talking about $80,000 on the line.
Right.
The driver needs to consult his head coach, his offensive coordinator, the crew chief and co-crew chief to figure out what it is that the game plan is going to be, what they plan on doing, and who is that game plan they plan on doing is going to be the best to execute it against in that particular first round. Because if you don't have the right game plan and you don't have the right play to call, and you call the wrong play, there goes $80,000 right out of here.
Right. So on one Saturday's worth of work.
Yeah. And so it has to be a collaborative choice. I don't think that's a bad thing. It is something that has to be done, because if not, again, do you want to be losing $80,000? I don't think so.
And here's the thing, too, to touch on both your guys' comments. I really think it's in the hands of the driver, because if you don't see a car out there and you haze the tires at 60 feet or at 300 feet, guess what? You're going to pedal the thing. As long as you don't see that other driver pulling away, you're getting back on it, regardless of who is on the starting line or whether you're owner or a driver. You're going to try to win that thing. If, for instance, you're at the 330 mark and you haze the tires and you see Steve blow by you, then of course not. You're gonna settle the car down and that was fun while it lasted, but they outran us. And I think that's just what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's what happens in those, 3.8, 3.7 seconds. The tuner doesn't really have that much of a say.
No.
You just got to hope that he's putting in the tune-up for this thing. And that's bragging rights on the tuning, the crew chief side of things, because you want to be able to go out there, for the first ever Pep Boys call-out all-star, race and put on a good showing for the sponsors. So these people come back. You're not going to say, oh, well, we're one of 8 drivers out here. We don't really need to step on it. Let somebody else win. No, I doubt anybody is going to come in with that type of mindset.
No. They're going to go until the hat is got a gangster lean or the belt comes off or something. They ain't just going to lay down. That's for sure. Ain't nobody hitting that little button on with that box they got in their hand. You can bet that they ain't even touching that button.
Right. If it's funny car in Indy, we're going to see some bodies fly off in this thing.
Exactly.
So I do like this comment about the social media.
Shout out Briar Star, our buddy Briar.
I don't think there was too much hype about the call out, but also too, you don't want to have every driver is friends with each other. So you don't really want to say something that you're going to regret later on where you're going to ruin the friendship.
No, I did see Steve put out something. I didn't mean to cut you off. I did see Steve put out something that he had all the drivers that he could potentially choose, and he gave people a choice of who he thought that he should choose. And then at the end of it, he said, maybe the one that you choose will be the one that I choose or something like that. So he did do something like that, but I do agree with you on that. You can't tell it.
Yeah. And because it'd be one of those where, for example, if Andrew was racing a front engine dragster, I don't want to say something bad where it kind of lacks his confidence in anything. So, and that's my opinion. I don't usually agree with that, but yeah, there should have been some hype, like you said, Dujanet, like with Steve Torrance. Have the fans pick if you got their number one pick.
Yeah.
Then have the fans should say this is who you should choose. Boom, boom, boom. That's the fun part of it. And like Drag Race Central said, does NHRA lack of social media hype? That's a different conversation that I could have I could spend a 2-hour period on. But going into the call out stuff, I could say yes. The hype going into Gainesville, different, because we're talking about Gainesville. We're talking about 30 years of 300. So I think that hype was there. I don't think the call out was there.
Given it being the first ever actual call out, though, there's nothing to compare it to. You can't really compare it to Traxxas. I think what we'll be able to compare is it when it comes to the funny car time, when it comes Indy, if they sell it more, on the funny car side, they didn't, maybe they'll learn from this, so to speak, and just say, okay, yeah, we do need to hype it up more, put out a commercial instead of a commercial strictly for a national event. You could blend the two about this call out, a race within a race. That's what and the thing is about the Traxxas Shootout compared to this is everybody knew it was coming. You didn't have to promote it. Like everybody knew come Indy, you get 5 qualifying sessions and there's a race within a race. So that alone in itself, the Big Bud Shootout, everybody knew of. That didn't need any promotion. It's just what fans look forward to. And now it's kind of like you have to start all over again.
Right.
And this is just a new beginning for them, especially in the call-out format. But I think I don't want to put it as much on the NHRA. Sure, they could. I know they love posting about Nitro as much as I do, and they kind of hide the other stuff. But this is tough. I don't know. This is just tough to see.
Well, it's just.
I'm going to say
so. After this, sorry to cut you off, Dujanet.
No, you're good.
I think after this race, this is just basically going to be what their learning curve is. Basically, how we can promote it the next time, how we can do things. I think this is just the practice and the learning curve. And then when they go to the funny car in Indy, I think it might be better.
Right. And that's what I'd say. Y'all know I go in. If they're wrong, they're wrong. But here, I really feel like that this is new for everyone. I think they're feeling their way through this. And once they'll figure out this out, and then they'll see this, and then the next time they'll build upon it, what they've done here to improve upon it for the funny car. And then when we come around the next time, it'll be even better the next year. But this is all new to them. And they're just trying to feel their way through it all on how this is going to go about, how this call out thing is. I mean, I think even the drivers are kind of feeling their way out too of how this call out should be. You know, how far should we take it? I mean, do I say Rudy Poo Candy? You know, do I say I'm going to shine my shoe up real nice and I'm going to shove it up your candy? I mean, what do I do? You know what I mean? Do I say I'm the Rolex wearing, Texas hat, you know, wearing, you know.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear, dude.
Gunslinging, Capco driving, you know, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, I got alligator shoes that I'm having a hard time holding down over here. You know what? I don't know.
And I think to give the NHRA a little bit of credit, they can't promote this all on their own. I give just as much, and I'm not blaming. I'm not going to say I give just as much blame to the drivers, but the drivers are the ones that need to promote this just as much as the NHRA does. Every single driver that's in this top 8 field needs to be on their social media saying a little something, you know, just hey, you know, we're looking at you. I got #1 pick. I might call out Brittany. You know what? I might call out Mike, you know, coming off that hot streak. I want to stop his fire. You know, I want to put him out. I think all these drivers should be on board. Just hop on the social media, go live and say, let's talk about this. And another thing that's not necessarily great, and I know it's the first one, so we don't know what to expect, but when you got drivers 2 weeks before saying, I don't really understand the concept yet, we'll see when we get there how it unfolds, that doesn't sound good. That was my first opinion when I heard a few drivers say, well, we don't really know what to expect out there in Gainesville, but we're calling somebody out. Okay, well, we'll see when we get there what it's all about, what it's about. But at this time, I can't tell you. So that's not good. I think that part the NHRA lacked is giving us all the info we needed, not a day or two prior. This is everything you need to know about the Pep Boy call out, but just as a whole, everybody needs to pitch in and promote this.
Just be happy that social media wasn't around during like Joe Amato, Dick LaHaye, Don Perdome days. That would have been brutal back in the day.
It would have been brutal. It would have been brutal.
You have a nice comment here. How are you all feeling about Tony Schumacher's new team and having a rough start to the season so far? I don't like I said, it's kind of hard to think that Tony Schumacher has had a rough start because he's gotten out of the first round, the first 2 national events. It's just when you don't get to the semifinals, it just doesn't pop out as much. We're so used to seeing Schumacher, you know, dominate.
Yeah.
But this year, we're so used to seeing Steve dominate, but we haven't seen it yet. I think they're just fine, in my opinion.
Well, Steve, in his defense, they were trying out new combinations. Like, you can only have the same combination for so long. So I know Bobby Lagana and Richard Hogan were trying new things, which it's fine because it's the beginning of the season. So you can afford to do that. With Tony, I think if it's a second round constantly and 7 more races, like when we get to race 10 and it's still a second round, then I would say there's a struggle. But we're only 3 races in. Anything is possible. So I think he's fine. He's been doing this 25 years, 26 years. I think he's going to be I think he'll be fine. I think they're still trying to fine-tune things.
Yeah, I think what people are seeing, though, is the tire smoke in those second rounds that they've gone out. You know, I don't think it's a big deal, though. He's qualified 12th. Looked like he didn't really have a really consistent car, and then come out and he's, you know, beat Doug. He beat Justin Ashley with a car that really wasn't as consistent as the 2 cars that he had initially gone up against. So, you know, I don't think he's having a bad time at all. I really think that everything is going the way that it needs to. They're kind of feeling each other out. You have to think, you know, it's Todd Okahara on this car and tuning Tony Schumacher, who these 2 haven't worked together. It's a new coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterback combo. So we've got to, we've got to let that marinate a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we'd see Tony Schumacher, you know, make a semifinals final round appearance here in Gainesville. just because of all the pressure, especially if somebody, whoever wins this shootout thing, they're going to want to double up on Sunday. And no one's talking about that. Oh, the possibility of, sweeping this thing. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on that as well. So a guy like Tony Schumacher with his experience could take somebody out that you would least expect. And Steve Torrance said this on a recent interview with him on Nitro Talk. He goes, there's something about Tony Schumacher. He just turns it on. In the first round, he always kind of has a semi-reaction time, and it just gets better and better throughout the day. And come that final round, he's on kill mode. That guy's going out, treeing people. There's something about getting into those later rounds that just hype him up. So I like Tony Schumacher this year. He's going to be in the championship conversation.
Oh yeah, he'll be in the high. He'll be the same conversation like Cruz Petchgon was last year. Nobody knew how he was going to be, and then right when the countdown hit, hey, you're in Pomona fighting for a championship. So I think he's going to be in that same bout.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And first of all, guys, I want to thank you two both for joining me today. This is a lot of fun to do this live stuff. It helps with all the editing. I mean, the editing's fun and all that, but when you can do it live, you don't have to worry about it. And so thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. This was a lot of fun. Again, if you see Dugenet at the Gatornationals, make sure to say what's up. Tell him you saw him on Everything Nitro. I'm sure he'd say, all right, there we go. Now we're talking. But plug your guys' stuff, guys. Where can we find you, and when are we going to see you next? We'll start with you, Dugenet.
You can follow me at NotBland21 on Twitter. You can follow me on NotBland21 on everything, really. You can follow the show on Ghostcast. That is the Not Bland Show. It's Not Bland Show on Ghostcast. We talk everything, NHRA to football to basketball. You can also follow the podcast, The Breakdown, with myself and Karita Parks. That is also on the sportsjourney.com website. You can follow that and get the banner there. You can just click play right there on the website and listen to it there. It's also on all your podcasting, sites, Google, all those great places. And the Not Bland Show is only on Ghostcast. And we'll be going live all this weekend, trying to get as many interviews as we can. And just stay tuned, man. Lock it in. Go there. Go to Ghostcast if you haven't. Apple device, and follow us, and we'll be trying to get as many interviews in this weekend and live there exclusively on Ghostcast.
And that's why he is the NHRA insider, no doubt. What about you, John?
That's why I'm the NHRA driver. No, you could you'll see me at the Las Vegas Nationals. I won't be racing, but I will be spectating. So I know, Andrew, you'll be seeing me there. I know we'll have some good times. I'll be racing the week after, so I'll be racing the NHRA Lucas Oil Divisional in Las Vegas. So April 7th through the 10th with the new front engine dragster. So you'll be seeing that in Vegas. But for anybody who wants to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at JohnnyBoy45, on YouTube, Randall Racing. I so much kind of get away from the Twitter aspect now because it's not as much.
Right. Yeah.
But you can also check me out on LinkedIn too, John Randell. I'm always open to anybody who wants to, throw a few bucks in my way, and we'll go racing full time. And but no, other than that, we're having fun, and you'll see me at the race all the time. So I always keep my schedule posted. I know I send you all my schedules, Andrew. So
yep.
Everybody's gonna know when I'm racing, and we're making T-shirts, so I got a second batch coming. Dugenet, I still have your shirt. Awesome. Andrew, since you didn't show up to March meet, I don't know if I want to give you a shirt.
That's okay. I'll get it in Vegas.
But
I'll
we're
get
making
it one late night.
But we're making merch right now, which is the good part. So we're making little simple shirts, basically what you can do for the garage setup, which they came out sick. I'll be making some hero cars too. So
nice.
Stay tuned. We got plenty more things. I got some. Hopefully some exciting news coming out soon, hopefully. So who knows, maybe you'll see me on the circuit. We'll find out.
Right.
But Everything Nitro will be the first one to know. So
even if it's not Nitro, you'll still be the first one to know. But like I've mentioned in other shows, John is a guy of many secrets. There's plenty to come out about John. This guy is got some fire in the oven. He's got some coal cooking. This guy is the next generation here. So next time you got an NHRA national event, whether it's super comp event, NHRA event, John's more than likely going to be there. Check him out. Check out his family, Rondell Racing. I'm going to put all the links in the description for these guys, because you need to go download Ghostcast. You need to go check out John's LinkedIn. Help that guy out. He's got some funding coming, but I might have, when he's got that funding, I might have to go take the seat of his super comp dragster. I'm gonna hijack that thing.
I know you're gonna have to fight Mama over that, but who knows? Maybe who knows? Maybe Don Schumacher's listening. Maybe since I'll have the $5 million out of my pocket, maybe he'll help out. You know, help a struggling up and coming driver to chase his dreams. You know.
And that's all, guys. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll see you on the next live preview. I'm Andrew. That's Dujane. John. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Take care, guys.
Take care.